In the age of the internet, an entire goldmine of knowledge is never more than a few clicks away. The problem is that it sometimes seems like there's just too much out there. How do you decide what's worth knowing and what'll only clog up your brain with useless nonsense? That's where I come in. From the weird and wonderful to the downright amazing, coming up are 20 facts you didn't know 5 minutes ago. A cucumber cure. Picture this. You have a first date planned at a fancy restaurant, but when you arrive, you realize you forgot to bring any breath mints with you. And to make matters worse, you've just ordered garlic bread as a side. Fear not, friend. All you need to do is order a side salad with cucumber. You see, fibrous vegetables such as celery and cucumbers boost your mouth's saliva production, which washes away odor-causing bacteria and, in turn, cures bad breath. For a simple hack, holding a slice of cucumber between your tongue and the roof of your mouth for about 90 seconds can help to eliminate nasty odors. And if there's no cucumber on the menu, parsley also has the same odor-neutralizing effect. So just discreetly chew on your garnish and you should be covered. Mysterious fingernail markings. Have you ever glanced down at your fingernails and noticed some bizarre white markings that weren't there before? This kind of discoloration is actually a common condition known as leukonychia. Most of the time, it doesn't signify anything serious, and there are a number of potential causes. The primary reason is as a result of injury to the nail bed, which can occur if you accidentally strike or pinch your nail. Because of the time it takes your fingernails to grow, you might not even recall the injury by the time any white spots show up. Leukonychia can also appear as an allergic reaction to cosmetic products like polish, gloss, hardener, or nail polish remover. Sometimes it can also mean your nails are deficient in certain minerals or vitamins, most commonly zinc or calcium. But unless your entire nail turns white and you experience any pain, these markings will usually go away on their own, so there's no reason to worry. Now that I've got you looking at your fingers, why don't you make them useful by heading on over to those like and subscribe buttons and showing them some love? See that little bell icon? You should totally tickle that too to make sure you're the first to know when I upload more amazing content. Now let's get back to boosting your brains. Say prunes. Before you have your photograph taken, you should expect to hear the oh-so-familiar phrase, say cheese. But back in the day, prunes were on the menu instead. In the 1800s, most people weren't comfortable smiling due to a general lack of good dental hygiene, which meant they didn't have very attractive teeth. Having your photograph taken was also considered a luxury and was treated with a good deal of seriousness, meaning a big, cheesy grin was seen as childish. So, photographers in British studios in the 1840s told people to say prunes to keep their mouths taut instead. And that predates today's fish-faced pout by about 180 years. By the mid-20th century, photography had become much faster, cheaper, and more casual. Plus, people had better teeth. So when Kodak started making cameras in the US, which ordinary people could afford to buy, they marketed them with photographs of smiling faces. Former ambassador Joseph E. Davies was the one to come up with the idea to say cheese as the perfect formula for an instant smile. And the rest is history. A flaming hot invention. In 2019, Flaming Hot Cheetos were declared America's favorite snack brand for the third consecutive year. But what if I told you that the super addictive snack nearly didn't exist at all? In 1976, 18-year-old Richard Montañez was hired as a janitor at a Frito-Lay plant in Rancho Cucamonga, California. The position paid $4 an hour with benefits, and Montañez's wife filled out the application for him because he struggled to read and write. While on the job, Montañez noted that a broken machine on the Cheetos assembly line had spat out a batch of plain Cheetos without the cheese powder dust. Montañez took the Cheetos home and dusted them with chili powder. He credits the idea to a favorite snack, grilled corn dressed with lime and chili powder sold by a local street vendor. Montañez first pitched the idea to former PepsiCo CEO Roger Enrico over the phone and was given 2 weeks to prepare a presentation to the executive suite. Of course, it was an instant hit. Montañez went on to become an executive vice president at PepsiCo North America and is now a best-selling author and motivational speaker. What an inspiration! Chuck the difference. If there's one thing Americans and Europeans will always bicker over, it's chocolate. If you've sampled both sides, there's no denying that chalky tastes totally different across the pond. But why? The simple answer is different regulations. Firstly, European chocolate is technically creamier because it requires a minimum of at least 14% dry milk solids, while the minimum amount in the US is 12%. Euro chocolate is also slightly richer because it's required to contain at least 3.5% milk fat compared to the 3.39% needed in the US. What's more, European chocolate is, well, just more chocolatey. That's because it also has a higher requirement for cocoa content, which gives bars their deep flavor. But that's not the only reason why Europeans love to hate American chocolate. You see, Hershey's also uses a special ingredient that sets it apart from the rest: butyric acid. This ingredient makes the chocolate last longer on shelves, but also gives it that tangy flavor that many foreigners find off-putting. Does that settle the age-old Hershey's versus Cadbury debate for you? Let's start a healthy discussion about this unhealthy treat in the comments below. Which brand of chocolate do you personally prefer? And if you can think of any other foods that taste different in your country, go ahead and let me know. I'm genuinely interested. Let's get back to the facts. Dunce caps for smart people. At one point in the Middle Ages, the dunce cap we now associate with idiocy and punishment was actually a symbol of respected scholars. It all began with master philosopher and metaphysical thinker John Duns Scotus, whose name later lent itself to the phrase dunce cap. Scotus was a proponent of the use of pointy hats, believing they would somehow act as a reverse funnel for knowledge, with wisdom flowing into the pointed tip and spreading to the brain below. These hats were also popular among his followers, known as Dunsmen, and therefore became a signifier of high intelligence. But by the mid-16th century, popular thought had begun to turn against Scotus, and the Dunsmen came to be associated with idiocy instead. Naturally, their pointy hats were adopted as a symbol of stupidity and found their way into elementary school classrooms, where they were used to traumatize and humiliate kids until the late 1950s.